Adam Clinton and Adam Wexler.
The A-Team now continues.
The A-Team continues. It is Thursday. Adam Wexler and Adam Clanton here with you on the program. And our AFC South tour continues. Technically wraps up today. We've already spoken Colts. We've already spoken Jaguars. And now it's time to speak Titans football with Nick Suss joining us, Titans beat writer for the Tennessean. And Nick, if you don't mind, I'm going to come in guns blazing. Tennessean had their predictions posted earlier this week, yours and 4 other colleagues over there at your newspaper. And 4 of the 5, including yourself, had the Texans claiming the AFC South. Nick Gray, what's up with him, man? How in the heck are the Jaguars going to win this division?
I think that's a sneaky good Jaguars team. I think I have them in second, but obviously that's not my pick. I'm not going to speak for anybody else, but I will say this. I think that the gap between 2 and 3 right now feels a little bit larger to me than the gap between 1 and 2. That does not mean anything. I am one human being with a voice. I'm not going to proclaim that I am a superstar prognosticator or anything. I'm probably worse than average at betting games against the spread. But I would say, look, the Texans are the team to beat in the division. The Texans are clearly the team with the best reservoir of talent in the division. But Jacksonville's got 3 or 4 playmakers who I would trust to make plays in one-on-one matchups in close games. And that's usually my tiebreaker for a good team. I don't think the Colts have that right now. I don't think the Titans have that right now. Jacksonville having that gives me a little bit of pause of just saying 100% Texans, I guess.
How much water is in the reservoir of talent there in Nashville with the Tennessee Titans as they move into year 1 with new management, personnel-wise, with Barganzi, and obviously moving forward with Coach Callahan? Obviously, we also know they have a number 1 pick.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation where I think that the team was probably more top-end talented this time last year than they are heading into this season. And we all saw how that went, 3-14 record, but there were guys on this team, Ernest Jones and DeAndre Hopkins, and some players that, look, that's top-end talent. That's star talent that they had that they don't have this year. I think the roster is probably a little bit healthier. I think the roster is trending younger, which is something that this team really wants to emphasize. They are going to lean heavily on the draft picks this year. They're going to play a lot of young players, and they're going to trust those guys to get better as the year goes on. So if you're talking about present tense talent reservoir, among the bottom of the league, and there's no disguising that. And I don't think the team would hide that. But I do think that the goal for the Titans, as they've stated and as anyone can healthily observe, is you've got a rookie quarterback, you've got 2 offensive linemen you've picked in the first rounds and last year and the year before that. You have 3 young pass catchers that you drafted in the 4th round this year. You got a 2nd-round edge rusher and a 2nd-round defensive tackle and a 4th-round linebacker and a 4th-round cornerback. And you got all these things to say, okay, there's your young core. Let's go see if these guys can develop into something 2 years down the line. Then you're talking about a team that maybe has a healthy roster, but you're still 2026, 2027, 2028 before we're talking about that.
Talking to Titans beat writer Nick Suss of the Tennessean about the Tennessee Titans. And let's talk about that rookie quarterback. What's the first thing, I guess, that stood out to you that you saw this offseason, this training camp, and into, a few days left now until he makes his debut in week 1, maybe that stood out to you? And kind of a second part, how much are those 2 veteran receivers that are going to be in that locker room with him going to help him out in this maiden voyage?
Yeah, the first thing that stood out watching Cam back in April or whenever it was that they had rookie camp, this dude truly does not change his demeanor. Good pass, bad pass, somebody's yapping in his face, somebody's chirping at him, somebody's teaching him. He is steady. He is a steadying presence. And compared against Will Levis, who I am not denigrating in any way, but Will was a very up and down player. He's an emotional player. And so the Titans have corrected or overcorrected or course corrected or whatever you want to call and found a more traditionally doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low quarterback who also is deeply unafraid to throw balls into tight windows, kind of like Will was. So it's an interesting dichotomy there. You talk about Ridley, you talk about Lockett. I think that the best indicator of what the Titans feel about those relationships up until this season, the Titans locker room for the lengthy past had been divided by position groups. The receivers were all together, the running backs were all together, et cetera, et cetera. This year it was all shuffled to try and create more communication among the entire team. Cam's in the middle of the locker room. Directly to his right, his center, Lloyd Cushenberry. Directly to his left, Calvin Ridley. It is a situation where the Titans want those guys to be in communication. They want them to be near each other. They want them to have a close relationship, and it's worked. Ridley and Cam are very close. They talk very highly of each other. They have a good rhythm, a good rapport, to a point that this week on the podium, Cam was kind of incredulous at the idea of reigning NFL Defensive Player of the Year Pat Surtain being able to slow down Ridley in week one this week, which we'll see. But there is a confidence there. There is a rapport there. And I do think that, man, we spent so much time in preseason and training camp last year talking about, can Cam Ward develop that deep ball, can Will Levis develop that deep ball with Ridley? Is it going to work? Is it going to work? That conversation hasn't been there this year. Those two look like they're in lockstep. And that, at the very least, is something that Cam has going for him to start his career.
We mentioned the Titans record a year ago, grabbing just 3 wins. One of them was against these Houston Texans, obviously with Will Levis out there. In that game, though, with most of the other recent ones the last couple of years, the Texans' defensive front has absolutely had their way with the Titans' offensive line. They have clearly focused in on fixing that offensive line each of the last 2 off seasons, and could go back one more with Skoronski. But do you believe that those 5 guys slated to be out there, including the additions of Zeitler and Moore, that they have corrected it, that this group has a chance to be not just serviceable, but even better than that?
Yeah, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. My joke this entire offseason has been, this is a quest for mediocrity. Obviously, the goal is not mediocrity.
That is a great T-shirt, Nick. They should wear that at every practice.
It's not the end goal, but when you've been 32nd for so long, getting to 16th is a gigantic boost. The gap between 32 and 16 is much, much bigger than the gap between 16 and 1. If you can get to league average, which that's the goal of put Dan Moore at left tackle and get Latham back to the right side at his natural position, and hope that Skoronski in year 3 can be that Pro Bowl caliber player you drafted him to be, and hope that Cushenberry can stay healthy this year, and hope that Zeitler can be that steadying presence you brought him in for. That's a pretty steady 5. I mean, Dan Moore's still a bit of a question mark. It's hard to read the sack totals last year. He led the league in sacks allowed, but his quarterbacks were Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, 2 known scramblers that kind of skew that data. And I think Latham was either 2nd or 3rd in sacks allowed, but Will Levis famously holds onto the ball for so long. And it's all this stuff that stats lie, stats tell the truth, stats tell you what you need to see, all that stuff. I'd say that the tackle position still got to see it, and this week we're going to see it. Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper are every bit the superstars that they're paid to be out on the perimeter in Denver. But the interior, Zeitler, Cushenberry, and Skoronski, I think that's a really, really solid 3. I think that Skoronski has a chance to be the Titans' best player, regardless of position this year. He's looked really good throughout training camp. Cushenberry, for a guy who tore his Achilles in November, is looking great. He's not even on the injury report heading into week 1. And Zeitler's been in this league for a long time for a reason. So I think that on the interior, at the very least, I feel pretty confident. On the perimeter, let's call it TBD, but cautiously optimistic if you're a Titans fan.
So we've been talking about how, the Texans with the question marks on their offensive line, it's probably not the best matchup to be going up against the Rams in week 1, but you have to play what your schedule says. And in that vein, how much, and I know Cam Ward has talked about this, is the Broncos defense, going to be something that you're concerned about in his first game as a rookie quarterback?
You get concerned about it. I mean, that's a really good defense. Pat Surtain and Nick Bonito and Zach Allen and all of these players are Pro Bowl talents and all-pro talents for a reason. There's a lot of good stuff there, and Vance Joseph is a wily play caller. I think I was looking at this the other day. Between head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, the Titans have 3 combined years of experience, and the Broncos have 30 between Sean Payton and Joe Lombardi and Vance Joseph. There's a lot of experience to throw stuff at Cam Ward. So you got to be concerned. This defense ranked number 1 in the NFL in a lot of stats last year. But you also have to acknowledge defense is such a volatile thing. secondary play more than anything else is volatile. You can best in the league as a cornerback and passer rating allowed one year and then dip into the hundreds the next year. It's one good play is going to skew you, one bad play is going to skew you. So I would say I am very, very skeptical that the Titans will have a lot of big plays. I'm very, very skeptical that the Titans will put up a lot of points. But I would not be shocked if the Titans have 2 or 3 sustained drives, Tony Pollard running the ball, grinding it, 8-play drive, 9-play drive. Cam Ward takes what the defense gives him. And you kind of see the structure, the bones of what the Titans want the offense to be. Now, that's not going to be enough. I'm not picking the Titans to win by any stretch, but I do think that even against this top defense, the way the Titans offense is organized, you're probably going to see some incremental ball control type success to kind of flash what the team wants to be.
We'll wait and see. Sunday afternoon, they will get it on, just like the Texans and the Rams, to open up their season. Nick, we certainly appreciate the time covering the Titans for the Tennessean and hope to catch up with you again over the course of the season.
Yeah, anytime, boys.
You got it. Nick Suss covering the Titans. We have made it around the AFC South. That is your AFC South tour here on the A-Team.